So the reminder of our video recordings will deal with a couple of more elaborate projects. One involving processing of text files that we're going to start with, and then another where we show how the Excel VBA works with databases. So sort of making a connection to those parts of the class that we've went over already with the visualbasic.net. So the first example illustrates the use of external text files. Okay, one such file loan.csv, namely, to continue in the sort of vein of these payment loan processing examples. So that file will be brought into the current workbook and then manipulated in some way. So the first step will be to open the CSV file, copy its entire content, and paste it into the loans summary worksheet of the payment calculator workbook, as I'll show in a second. We then loop through each of the rows, which means each of the different loans, calculate appropriate monthly payment that we've done a million times so far, increment the counter for the three different loan types in an attempt to count how many different loan types are there, and then accumulate the values of monthly payments for each of those as well. At the end, we display the number of loans in each category, and you'll see there's only a couple of them, mortgages, auto loans, and other, and then calculate the average monthly payment per category, and then we close the CSV file at the end. So switching back to Excel and clicking on the loans summary, you can sort of see the structure of the loans CSV file that is available to us, and we'll show it in a minute, perhaps in a Notepad++. Let's see if I can open that. Going to my documents. Not easy to find the Google Drive from Notepad this way. Let's see. I got it in a number of different places. I'll find one for you in just a second. There she is. Okay, showing the loan ID, which is a 4-digit integer. First, last name, city, loan date, amount of the loan, the interest rate in the decimal format, the term in years, and then the type that I was just referring to as mortgage, auto loans, and other. Okay, so that's the loan CSV file that will end up being copy pasted essentially into this yellow range here, and then we're going to process it by calculating the monthly payments for each loan one at a time, and then summarizing the number of different types of loans and the average monthly payment. So that's the overall objective. The switching to the code, notice that we are still in the loan amortization code module of that particular sheet, so we'll close that, and then we'll double click on the loans summary sheet to open that one. And we'll notice towards the top that again, most of the variables were declared already. So the path variable is one of the key variables here, where we're going to have to, as you'll see down towards the bottom of the screen, you're going to have to set the path to this CSV file, which is going to depend on where it is on your computer. Then the CSV file name itself will be stored in this string variable called strcsv file. The top cell is again going to be a top left corner of the loan range. We're going to have the last row, the index, right? We have similar uses as they were in the previous videos. Some of these financial variables, they're all the same as before, including introducing, I suppose, loan type for the mortgages, auto loans, and others. Then I'm going to go and describe the output range and output sort of constructs representing that summary table on the top right corner of the screen. A little bit later on, we're going to have again a top cell for the output range. We're going to have some kind of index, and we're going to use a so-called variant array to hold the results of these summaries, and that will include the 3 rows and the 3 columns, including the names of these category names for these loan types: mortgage, automobile, and other. So to declare that array variable, I'm going to use the dim statement, out array for output array 1, 2, 3 rows and 1, 2, 3 columns as variant. One simple reason for variant, there's multiple data type, is that there are different data types inside this table, right? We'll concede mortgage, auto, and other strings. We have integers here for number of loans, and it's essentially doubles here for the average monthly payment. And this type of data, right, which is just a generic variant data type, works best in this kind of example. So after setting the path to the folder that holds the loan CSV file on your computer within the class folders, right? Make sure you have that backslash at the end. We're going to set the str CSV file string variable to loans.csv. Okay, and then we're going to set the application, turning off application display alerts, which pop every time you open close files asking you want to save it, and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to turn those off with the application dot display alerts as false, and then we're going to turn those back to true at the bottom of this entire project and some of the subsequent videos. Okay, keep saving as we work through this. Now the next step is to open the loan CSV file using the path and variable name, so these two guys here, right? So we're going to string them up together, using the application, or just directly to workbooks object, and open a method and provide str path and str CSV file, so we can open the CSV file, which is then going to show up here in the list of objects under this project. Okay, and until we close it, which is going to begin at the end of this whole project, it will remain essentially there, which means in memory, and as such available, the data will be available. So what do we want to do with the data is as follows, right? So as soon as the file opens, right, unless there's something wrong with the path and a file name, that should work fine. That file becomes automatically active, and that's a key sort of piece to recognize. So right now, after this line of code, after it successfully executes, you are in that CSV file. So that means you're no longer in the payment calculator.xlsm, our base file, if you will, our project file. Okay, so what you want to do then is select the current region, which is a specific property of a range object, starting with the top left corner of that currently active loan CSV file, and then copy it. That's accomplished with the following code. Range A1, notice I haven't used any of the higher level objects in the hierarchy. I'm assuming, right, that the currently active is the loans file, which has only one worksheet, right, with the data, so there's no confusion there. And then the current region property is going to essentially do like a control A, like a select all, after I specify the select method, and then we're going to copy that selection. And now after this executes successfully, the entire content essentially of that loan CSV file, all, I forgot how many 20 something loans I have there, are going to be in the clipboard. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to save this. At this point, we have to sort of switch back to our main project, the payment calculator, right? And then we have to set the top left corner cell, and then paste the selection that we copied from the CSV file, right? So this is accomplished with the following 3 lines of code: workbooks collection, and then the payment calculator .xlsm. You got the key pieces to spell this guy correctly, right? Look at the name right here and just make sure everything, including the extension, is spelled correctly. Okay, dot activate. So the activate methods is essentially going to accomplish the switching from the loan CSV, which is currently active, to the payment calculator, which now becomes active. And then we're going to set the top cell, which I guess we could have done before, to the worksheets, right? We have to make sure that the loan summary, right, is the one that we want to work with, right? And then range A1 is simply the top left corner of the loan summary sheet, which is right here, loan ID. Okay, and then all the while we have not hopefully lost the content of the CSV file in that selection clipboard, right? And we're going to use that top cell and the paste special method, and we're going to paste all, which means in this case simply values, because there are no formulas in the CSV file. Sometimes this becomes an issue, and we'll discuss it when it does. Okay, so at this point, what we could do, because this is a more elaborate project, right? At this point, what we could do, let me make sure, yeah, this is just a loop and there's nothing else. Let me make sure that at the bottom I close the CSV file and turn back the application alerts before I actually start testing this. So let's see, workbooks, str CSV file, right? That's the collection, workbooks collection that has two items in it. One is the payment calculator, and another one is not shown here because it's not running, hasn't run yet, is the loan CSV file. And then we close that one, and then we turn those alerts back to true. Where is that? By copy this line. Nope. By copying this line and pasting it at the bottom and changing false to true. Okay, so I don't think that the loop is going to make any difference here. So let's see if we run this, and we're going to run this directly with a run sub. You know, it's the only sub here, right? Called loan summary. We could have associated button with it, but it's not necessary now. You know how to do that. So we'll see what mistakes we get by running this. Subscript, of course, is out of range. I think it's loan summary, of course. So we're going to end this, put an S here, and save it, and give it another shot. You'll notice that quickly that the loan CSV opened and closed, okay, and the values were, you know, pasted here. Again, screwing up the formatting in the process and so forth. So we're going to have to, we can try the paste special values at some point and see how that works. But for now, I'm going to pause here because otherwise the video is going to become too long.